Hey, everybody. One of the things I wanted to talk today about is red flags. Um, a lot of times we are getting emails and propositions and a ton of spam from our Instagram to email to Facebook, whatever we're doing. We get all these emails, these all kind of points of contention of, hey, do work for me, or hey, um, I have a job for you. And we want to take each one and look at it individually and kind of decide whether or not it's worth it, or decide whether or not it's a scam and they're just trying to get our information. Um, so let's talk about this.
One of the form letters that I get in the email is from this Joseph Earns, and ultimately they're saying that they have a disability, that they can't hear anything, which is fine, not a problem usually, but ultimately people usually compensate for that. So they'll have some type of interpreter or some type of aspect that they compensate for that. So having them say that they don't want any contact with you, that is my first red flag. Second red flag is during this email chain, I get back the project information, and the project information turns out to be stuff that is readily available and free for use. Ultimately, this particular page is copied from, I think it was the CDC or something like that. This is a project that is ultimately for companies who want to explain the phases of vaccinations and things like this. It just looked like a form letter, and so ultimately, second red flag. Next thing I really want to say is that looking at it as a draftier's banking check, anything cashier's check, certified bank check, anything like that, again, red flag. They can get into your account somehow and ultimately take your money. In this particular email chain, when they want me to send them a blank check, banking information, that's another red flag. Companies will send you a check. They will not need to ultimately get your bank information from them. So again, red flags. Do not take these jobs. The next thing I see oftentimes is a Instagram scam. The Instagram scams are ultimately people looking to use your PayPal account, things like that, real fast. All right, take Harry here, for example. He reaches out, says he loves my work, and he wants a commission from me. Here's another red flag. When you are a fantasy artist or a sci-fi artist or a fluffy, cuddly artist, doesn't matter what you do, but somebody wants you to just ultimately do a copy of a picture with no adjustments, that's another red flag. You're an artist for what you do, and they need to basically work with that. They come to you for that reason. Now, if they're just asking you to copy a picture, that's ultimately saying something's not right. Now, next red flag is the fact that I want to send in a contract, do a project for someone, and it doesn't matter if it's a $25 piece of artwork or a $5,000 piece of artwork. You do a contract. This basically states that you are doing work for them and they need to owe you money, and there usually is a payment schedule, so on and so forth. So that's another red flag, is when they do not want to do a contract. Contracts basically turn it into a legal matter, and they don't want to do that. Next thing is that they want your PayPal real fast. They're so fast to pay the whole job right away. Even before you start it, even before you really kind of decide on the project. Anytime they do that, that's another red flag. Usually language is another red flag too. If you're dealing with a native English speaker and they are really using a whole lot of spelling issues, or they are giving you issues with that, be aware of that as well. Another red flag I run into is this particular person didn't want a contract at all. Having no contract, basically, they don't want anything. Now, this is not necessarily as a bank scam, but what this is they want you to do artwork, and they're going to tell you that they don't have enough money to pay right off the front, which is fine for most contracts. You do in increments. But if they can't pay half of $200, that basically means they're not going to pay you. I've run into that process more than once, where they want me to do something, but they don't have even half of a smaller fee up front. And so just be aware of that, and that is something that you want to pay attention to. Now, finally, another thing is any links. These are job sites that they send you and say, hey, we are looking at your work and we love you, and we want to work with you. They send you a link with a password on it, basically saying this is our work, or this is where you need to fill out information. Be wary of that. We'll always look at the website address, because that will definitely screw you up, especially if it's not the website you think it is. I'll get emails from Gmail, but it'll be the studio name or things like that. Those are scams. Stay away from them. Don't click on links. And if you're always kind of wary on that, always go and write HR at that department and say, hey, I've been contacted and they want me to do work, and bypass that email or bypass what you're doing. And that will kind of save you from a scam as well. And be wary of what you're getting. So, it's one thing to do artwork for a commission, but it's another thing for them to try and rush you, try and get your information, and ultimately try and steal what